Today we're looking at the Fifine K037B wireless lavalier and headset microphone kit. Inside the box we have some paperwork, the microphone receiver. This just has an on-off switch and a light. Batteries go on the side. You got two cables, one goes to a phone, the other one goes to a camera. Here's the headset microphone. You can see it has a locking mini XLR connector, which is great. Under that windscreen, there's a directional microphone that's pointed in toward your mouth to help reduce background noise. And here is the lavalier. So this one's gonna have the same locking connector as the headset mic does. Underneath that windscreen, we got a pretty large capsule, but it's not outrageous for the price of the mic. Feels really solid construction. Everything feels like it's made of metal, including the clip on the back of it, which feels super solid. And that clip, of course, can be removed so you can pack it up more easily and don't have to worry about breaking that in travel. Now here's the receiver itself. This is a very simple unit. Change your channels and plug in the mic on top, on-off button, and battery cover right there. The range of the mic is advertised as 40 feet, and I had no trouble at all getting that far. Hello, and welcome to this guide on how to hide lavalier microphones. As you can see, you can't even see, I'm kidding, I'm wearing 3 microphones, it's ridiculous. This is a sound comparison between the Fifine K037B, which they very kindly sent me for review, versus a comparable priced microphone, the Movo LV4C. And on the right side is my daily driver workhorse. This is a Countryman B3. This is a $200 lavalier. The point of this comparison is to see, one, does a wireless microphone make a difference versus a wired microphone of the same price? And two, what are you missing out on compared to a professional grade microphone? So one thing I'd like to stress regarding the sound quality of the Fifine microphone, and the same kind of goes for the Movo, is on their own, they do sound pretty darn good. It's really hard to point at it and say a specific problem that the sound has, but when you compare it to the Countryman, clearly it's not at the same level as that. But that's frankly a stupid comparison anyway. You're not looking at this review wondering whether you should spend $40 or $200 on a microphone. If you're watching this review, you're probably looking at it for a budget microphone, maybe your first lavalier. And if that's the case, I really don't see a reason not to go with the Fifine if you're looking in about a $40 to $50 price range. The reason for that is you get pretty comparable sound quality for the Movo. However, you of course have a wireless system, so you have some freedom there. One thing that's important to point out regarding wireless systems, and it goes for any mic really, but especially wireless, you must monitor the audio while you're recording. Wireless systems are particularly susceptible to noise, radio interference, and sometimes the signals can drop out intermittently. I haven't had any issues with this one so far, but even with much more expensive microphones like the Sennheiser G3 systems, which are about $800 for the set, I've had issues with those on set before. Fortunately, the sound engineer was wearing headphones and they were able to notice the problem. We changed channels and everything was fine. But if you're not monitoring, you can't always trust that the radio is going to work well. And that's not Fifine's fault. That's just a fact of how radio technology works. There's interference sometimes, and regardless of the system you have, you must be checking those frequencies, making sure that they're clear before and during your recording. So that wraps up the sound test. So to test the range of this microphone, I've switched over to the headset mic, and I'm just gonna walk away and see how it goes. So it's currently recording on my console right there. You can see the receiver is plugged in right there, and that's just being recorded into Pro Tools. So let's take a walk. Now the furthest I can get in my studio is about 20 feet away, and that'll put 2 walls between us as well. So if I go over here, my office is right behind that wall. Here's a second wall in my podcast studio. Say hi to Crispy, everyone. Y'all know Crispy by now. Anyway, here we go. And this is my second take of this, and I saw in my first take that it recorded just fine. So I'm gonna head down the other hall, see how much further I can get. I think the distance will be about the same. So this is now at the other far end of the building. It's a very dark and scary hallway with no lights on, but anyway, there we go. That is the range of the Fifine K037B. Now I do want to mention, before I get a bunch of hate in the comments, I know the Fifine and the Movo do not sound the same. I don't think they sound the same. They have a very different sound to them. What I mean to say is they have a similar level of sound quality. If I were to rate them on, scale of 1 to 10, they'd both be about a 5 to me. But the reason that they're not higher than that is exactly the opposite problem of one another. The Fifine doesn't have enough bass. The Movo has far too much bass. The Movo has, I think, the worst problem of the three microphones here because it's super boomy. It has a lot of bass response, and that's not a good thing. You want enough of it to be able to hear that there's bass there, but the Movo just goes absolutely ballistic with it, so far that it really makes it hard sometimes to understand what's being said. The Fifine has exactly the opposite problem as the Movo, where it doesn't quite have enough bass. However, I think that's a better problem to have. I would rather be lacking a little bit of bass than have so much of it that I can't hear what the person's saying. When it comes to post-production and mixing and editing the sound to bring out the best quality you can from any of these mics, the Countryman wins hands down. It's clearly the right tool for the job. However, between the Fifine and the Movo, the Fifine has a better result. Once again, it's the bass problem with the Movo that may sound better to your ears while you're recording on set, but you play it on some speakers, on some studio monitors with a subwoofer, and you can hear there's a lot of junk in the low frequencies that's really hard to get rid of. Yeah, you can just high pass everything, but you've still got other problems coming in. You got distortion happening inside the microphone itself. You've got the levels on your recording device or your camera that are going to be peaking from those crazy amounts of bass that you're just going to cut out anyway, so it effectively makes your microphone quieter because you have to cut out the bass frequencies that are not going to be used anyway. So it's kind of a weird workaround for it. It works, but it's just a hassle. And I would rather get a microphone that produces a sound that I'm happier with, so I have to do minimal processing to it. The thing about the Fifine is, while it doesn't have that kind of upfront, meaty, powerful tone that I'd love for a microphone to have, it works right out of the box, and I don't have to do post-processing to it to make it sound better. The Countryman is very similar in this way. The Movo is not. The Movo requires that you high-pass it. And since most cameras don't have high-pass filters built in, that adds a step for your editor, and that's not fun. So to wrap up this review, I wanted to give another couple of thoughts about some other factors that I haven't talked about yet. First thing is size. So I did mention in the unboxing portion that this is a relatively large capsule, and I wanted to show you, just for the sake of comparison between the other two mics more closely. So here we've got the Fifine versus the Movo in the middle and the Countryman on the right. Now, again, this is kind of a stupid mic to compare just because it's 5 times the price, or 4 times rather. But it is kind of interesting seeing side by side what a relatively high-end mic does, and of course the better Countrymans are even smaller than this still. So looking at these two, length is pretty similar. The Movo's a little longer. However, the Fifine is a little wider. So I think the Movo might be a little bit easier to hide, but they're pretty close. Neither one of these are going to be particularly discreet anyway, so I don't think it really makes much of a difference at the end of the day. I also wanted to talk briefly about the receiver. The transmitter is actually really good. This is very similar to another wireless system that I've used before by GTD Audio. I have a hunch they're probably using some of the same parts, at least for the exterior housing. The buttons are the same place, the screen looks the same, and that's a good thing. That's a really good system. Now, usually with the wireless system, you would have some sort of visual interface to let you know that it's receiving a signal. All this has is a light, and when you turn it on, it's green, which is a bad thing. That means it's not connected. Once you turn on the transmitter and it connects, it turns red, which is a good thing. That seems a little backwards to me. I would think that red indicates that it has a problem, whereas green indicates that it's working well. I would like for those colors to be changed. I know that asking for some sort of volume meter on the receiver is a lot to ask at this price point, but it'd be really nice to have in a second version, even if it's just one light, even if this light just blinks a little brighter when it gets a signal, just so I can look at it and hear what's coming through. If there's someone speaking on stage and I just want to take a quick look at this, if I'm running a second camera and just see that there's something coming through it, that'd be really nice to have a quick reference. And also for setting them up, I would imagine if you have multiple of these, it might be easy to forget which one's which. Sure, you can label them on the side, but this doesn't even say what channel number it's on. So it'd be really nice to have an indication of whether there's actual audio coming in rather than just a backwards colored red or green light. Now my last complaint, and this is a pretty small one, is that the transmitter and the receiver uses different batteries. The transmitter uses AA's, 2 of them. The receiver uses 2 AAA's. So in this day and age where basically everything has its own rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, we've got the V-mount batteries for the Ursa Mini. We also use V-mounts for the Blackmagic Pocket 4K. All the Canon DSLRs have lithium-ion batteries. So it just adds to this ever-growing collection of batteries that we have to carry around on set. And given that most things are kind of standardizing to your V-mounts, your Sony L series, your Canon LPE6s, those are pretty much the only 3 batteries that we have to carry on set. And if I'm bringing this, I need not 1 more battery type, but 2 more types of batteries. It'd be nice if the whole system used one same battery, even if it's AA or AAA, at least make them the same between the transmitter and the receiver. On to some good things. Build quality is surprisingly good. The whole microphone assembly itself for the lavalier feels like it's metal. It probably is. It's probably not a great metal, but it's better than plastic. And the clip actually really impressed me. I genuinely think it's one of the nicest microphone clips I own, even compared to the Countryman's. The Countryman's are a little smaller, but they don't quite have as much resistance and they don't feel quite as solid because they're plastic. It's a high quality plastic, but it's not as nice feeling as the metal clip from the Fifine. Another great thing about the system is that the connectors are locking. This is fantastic because if you're walking around or you mic up someone else who's not familiar with having a microphone on, they can sit down and pull a cable out of a lot of other microphone systems. The fact that these use a standard 3-pin locking XLR connector is absolutely fantastic because that means not only is it a much more secure connection, you don't have to worry so much about the cable being yanked out accidentally, but you can also upgrade microphones. So you can get the Countryman B3, you could get that to plug straight into the Fifine and just have a nicer sounding mic. There's tons of other mics in the market that use that same connector. Plus you can use it with adapters for electric guitar, for any kind of other wireless thing, run wireless headphones. There's all kinds of stuff you can do with a decent quality wireless system like this. So that wraps up my review. Thank you once again to Fifine for sending me the microphone. As you can tell by the fact that I had plenty of negative things to say about it, this review is obviously not sponsored. This is not some kind of showcase of their product. I really just think it's a really good mic. And I think that if I could go back in time and give myself advice, I'd be saying exactly the same things to myself 10 years ago when I was starting out. So thank you very much for watching this review. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please feel free to comment if there's anything that you'd like to add. I'd be really curious to hear which mic you guys prefer. I have my own opinions. Maybe you prefer the Countryman, maybe you prefer the Movo, or maybe you like the Fifine just as it is. Anyway, I'd love to hear from you guys. If you want to see more reviews, you may know from watching my channel, I don't do many videos like this. This is my first real legitimate product review. I've done a couple of other videos talking about the Ursa Mini when we got that, but this is my first real review. I do lots of reviews with my friend Rocky over on our other channel, Super Short, where we do product reviews in 10 seconds or less and short films in about 30 seconds. Check out Super Short and the link in the description, and have a great day.